first one off of notes from the presentation of the applicant, and this was what I had asked the applicant during the hearing, is what has changed since the last hearing conducted by the California Coastal Commission on the issue? And so now we're referencing this 2000 letter from Mr. Merrill that I don't think we had with us last week. As Mr. Lynch said, that was the recommendation of staff was still for denial, but this in a sense sort of documents that. But and you're talking about the recent activities with the planning team and interfaces with the community. So has anything changed? Because I asked this of the applicant, but I didn't have an opportunity to ask the question of you. Have there been any substantive changes that would lead us to believe that this 2000 letter is passé, or things have occurred that this would no longer be the opinion of the Coastal Commission?
Not that I'm aware of. And in fact, the letter does refer to the Phase 1 draft of the Mendocino Town Plan Review. And the Coastal Commission recognizes that the Phase 1 review does provide a good background information and inventory, but it doesn't address the impacts and the cumulative impacts on the proposed increases, and on the environment. So the letter, the Coastal Commission is going to require us not only to do the plan review, but to do the analysis that supports, any recommendations that we want to make. And we're in the process of doing that. I think that to interfere with that process at this point, and granted, in 2005, the board did say, get your house in order. And, I can't really speak to that, but I think that the planning team is engaged in the process and is working on it, and I think it would be premature to go ahead and approve a project at this point without finishing the process that we began.
Well, stated by this board member, and I think probably also a number of my colleagues, it's really unfortunate that 2005 to 2008 has gone by and we're not any further along than we are. And unfortunately, the sort of 11th hour things that have recently occurred with the planning team took us many steps forward, but it was coming rather late. And I think that the applicant even stated that a core issue that they had with respect to bringing this forward was in fact the recent work of the planning team. Again, to reiterate, a letter from Planning Commissioner Karen Calvert clarifying her position, and she felt that she needed to vote for denial because of the county has neither refuted nor validated the information that was presented during this process. So I understand, Council, your point, and I think that it's probably also in the applicant's interest that this not be fully finalized today. Thank you.
Supervisor Delbert, and then I'll go to the CEO.
Well, thank you. Council, your comments are relative to a general plan amendment, correct?
My comments are relative to the proposed application that's before you. I mean, I was asked questions about the proposed application, and my opinion is that should this application be approved, we will be in litigation over it. No question in my mind.
But I don't live my life out of fear of being sued. I mean,
and I don't live my life. I'm not in fear of lawsuits either. But I'm just saying that the county will be subjected to
Council,
litigation.
I'm not insinuating otherwise. I'm just stating, from my position, I'm not worried about what someone's going to sue us. Because knowing the parties involved, it's a given, regardless of whatever happens. My concern here is there's two routes that we can take. There is the general plan amendment route, which involves the Coastal Commission. Then there is the recognition of what the actual slots are there, and if we actually make a decision and determine that there are slots available that does not require a general plan amendment. So the Coastal Commission then is moot.
No, that is not correct.
Okay, then explain to me what role they have to play. If we determine that we stay within that 238 cap, we stay within that, what role does the Coastal Commission play?
234. What you're talking about is amending the chart, the table, and you can't do that without a plan review.
My read of it says if XYZ Bed and Breakfast changes its name to ABC Inn, that does not require a general plan amendment. We're not changing the intent, the purpose or the ratios or anything else in this thing. And I would challenge in court, if I was a good attorney, and say, look, the Coastal Commission doesn't play a role in that. That takes away the county's ability to make a decision as to what the color of the inn is, or the number, the name, or anything else. That, as long as you stay within the intent, I think that's the position that if I was an attorney, I'd be arguing on the other side.
But what you're doing is you're adjusting the numbers within the table, and to the extent that you're going to adjust them and take rooms away from existing facilities such as the Art Center, then where do those rooms go? The Art Center has to have those rooms somewhere else, in which case you're going to end up having to do some kind of analysis on the impact of that. So I think if you're going to do any amendments to the actual tables, that calls for a plan review. In fact, the Coastal Commission, I mean, if you read the 2000 letter, was very clear on that. Anytime you're going to adjust the rooms and increase rooms within the table, you're going to have to be doing a plan review.
Increase, yes. Adjust them, I disagree. I do not read that in their letter. I don't read that into it. I read if you're going to change the ratios or change the caps, then yes. But I don't, simply moving them from one to another, staying within that total number, I disagree with that. Now, we can agree to disagree, and that's fine. But
yeah, I disagree.
My concern here is that if local government, the legislative body's hands are tied so tightly that they can't change any little piece of data within a table, then we have a real serious problem with this coastal plan and this town plan. Because that takes away any authority or any discretion from the legislative body that's accountable to the people.
And I understand what you're saying, and it's, through the plan review process, it's possible and conceivable that the Coastal Commission would allow us to attach the table as an exhibit so that we don't have to engage in a plan review anytime you want to modify numbers. There are any number of things that we can be looking at in that regard. But unfortunately, what you've got here is a very specific plan that identifies very specific units. And by moving forward with this application at this time, you're going to be modifying that plan without a plan review, which the Coastal Commission is very clear, at least in 2000, and I'm not aware of anything that's changed in that regard. They're very clear that that's not appropriate without a full plan review and the full analysis that goes with it.
If we make the determination that there are 6 units available, recognizing that they do not exist in the manner in which they are listed in this table, which is my conclusion looking at all the information, there are 6 slots that are not being utilized. We reallocate those within that 200 and whatever that number is, cap.
234.
Then that is the prerogative of the legislative body. And that's the position that I take. Let a court tell me otherwise. But that's the position that I take, is as long as we keep to the intent of the plan and stay within those caps, I see no justification for a Coastal Commission telling us we can't do that.
Yeah, and I understand your position.
I'd like to go to Mr. Lynch. He's been biting at the bid here to mention something.
I too also understand the board's position. Last spring, I think the board was very frustrated by the slow process we have, and you want applicants to proceed, and we're going to process general plan amendments, and we advise folks, you submit an application, we'll process it, but be advised the Coastal Commission might bury you even if you get through the county process. But specific to Supervisor Delbar's comments, and I understand your position, there in section 413-4, subparagraph 3, it talks about visitor serving facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And one line in there says, existing visitor serving facilities listed on table 413-1 that propose to expand beyond the maximum number of units listed on table 413-1 shall require a general plan amendment.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Super.
See, I can read that either way. I could read that